Times Square, bright lights, giant billboards, costumed characters, tourists from every corner of the world. It's called the crossroads of the world, the beating heart of Manhattan-esque image and energy. Before the lights, the crowds, and the global fame. But what if I told you Times Square used to be a horse stable? That's right. Times Square was quiet, dusty, and filled with the sounds of who? Let's rewind to the 1800s. Back then, the area we now call Times Square wasn't a destination. It was part of a neighborhood known as Longacre Square, named after a carriage district in London. This area was home to horse stables, blacksmiths, wagon repair shops, and carriage builders. It smelled like hay and manure. There were no lights, no tourists, just workers tending to horses, building wheels, and fitting saddles. It was gritty, functional, and completely So how did it change? The turning point came in 1904, when the New York Times moved its headquarters into a new skyscraper on 42nd Street. The publisher, Adolph Ochs, convinced the city to rename the area Times Square in honor of the newspaper. That's right. Times Square is named after a newspaper, not time itself. That same year, the city opened the first subway line. Its junction just happened to be beneath the new Times building. Suddenly, Longacre Square wasn't just for horses anymore. It was connected, it was alive, and it was ready to change. Theaters moved in, restaurants opened, and by the 1920s, Times Square had become the entertainment capital of America. Broadway shows, jazz clubs, electric signs. It was a neon explosion. And the lights, that's no accident. There is a city law that actually requires buildings in Times Square to be covered in illuminated signs. It's not just tradition, it's regulation. That's why it never goes dark, even at 3 a.m. But Times Square's journey wasn't always glamorous. In the 1970s and 80s, it fell into decline, becoming known more for crime, idle theaters, and drugs than for Broadway and tourism. It wasn't until the late 1990s that the city launched a massive cleanup. New zoning, more police, pedestrian, big-name stores, global brands, and family-friendly attractions returned. Today, Times Square is one of the most visited places on Earth. Over 300,000 people pass through it every single day. On New Year's Eve, that number explodes. But underneath the lights and the hype, it's easy to forget where it all began. With horses, with a dusty square built for wagons, not tourists. That contrast is what makes Manhattan so fascinating. In just over a century, it turned a stable yard into a global icon. It reinvented itself just like the rest of the city always does. Because that's what Manhattan is built on. Reinvention. From native lands to Dutch colonies. From farmland to finance. From wooden walls to towers of glass. Every street has a secret. Every building has a past. Every sidewalk had a story.